Hollywood Boulevard, the street with brilliant lights, where thousands of people dream of becoming stars. Right in the center, a majestic building with a colorful Chinese architectural gate. Two golden dragons coiled in front of the gate. That is Grauman's Chinese Theater, the symbol of the film capital. On its opening day, 1927, this place once gathered all the glitz of Hollywood. Premieres, big stars, jostling crowds, camera flashes lighting up the night sky. But amidst that splendor, there is still darkness, mysterious death, lingering souls. To this day, many employees and visitors swear that they have seen the silhouettes of silver-white stars still returning here to relive their last moments of glory. Grauman's Chinese Theater is the brainchild of Sid Grauman, who is famous for his ambition to turn the cinema into a lavish palace. He spent millions of dollars, a huge sum at the time, to build it. The facade was designed like an ancient Chinese temple. Curved roof, red pillars, golden dragons, hanging lantern. On the 18th of May 1927, the theater opened with the premiere of The King of Kings. More than 2,000 guests, including actors, politicians, and the richest people in America. Soon after, Grauman created the famous tradition. The handprints and footprints of stars imprinted in cement in front of the theater. From Charlie Chaplin, Marilyn Monroe, to Tom Hanks, all left their mark here. This place quickly became the temple of cinema of Hollywood. But Hollywood is not only about glamour, it is also full of tragedy, scandal, and unjust deaths. Many stars who once stood on the red carpet of Grauman's Chinese Theater later died in loneliness, addiction, or were murdered. Some of them, it is believed, have returned to the theater, where they marked their last glory. Theater staff recount many nights when the theater is empty, they hear the sound of high heels on the marble floor in the hallway. But when they look out, no one is there. Someone saw a man in a 1,930 seconds suit standing on the second floor balcony, observing the stage. When they got closer, he disappeared. In the theater, the empty seats suddenly creaked, as if someone had just sat down. A tourist recounted, "When I sat down to watch the movie, I felt like someone was breathing right on the back of my neck. I turned around The seats were empty, but the seats shook as if someone had just left. Some spirits are said to regularly appear at Grauman's Chinese Theater. Rudolph Valentino, Hollywood's Latin lover. He was one of the most admired actors of the 1920 seconds. But his sudden death in 1926, due to a stomach ulcer, left tens of thousands of female fans in mourning. People say Valentino's spirit wanders around Hollywood and has been seen many times around the Chinese Theater, where he once strode in glory. Marilyn Monroe, the ill-fated beauty icon. People say that the shadow of a blonde woman wearing a white dress sometimes appears in the area of her handprint. Some visitors claim to see a blurry figure bending down to touch their own handprint. Sig Grauman, the theater's founder. Some employees believe that he is still there to protect his brainchild. They saw the shadow of a small man wearing a hat walking down the hallway to check, then disappearing behind the stage door. A manager recounted in a 1987 interview, "I was checking the theater after the show. The lights were off. I heard applause. It was loud, like a packed theater. But when the lights came back on, it was empty. Just me, standing in a sea of pred seats." A security guard recounted, "Many times, I saw shadows moving on the white screen, like a silent movie, but the projector had long since been turned off. Some people think this is just an illusion. Sounds from the street, reflected light, psychological suggestion when standing in the middle of a famous movie theater with many legends." But the stories match, spanning nearly a century, making it hard to ignore. Grauman's Chinese Theater is now called TCL Chinese Theater, after being bought by a Chinese group in 2013. It is still a place where blockbusters premiere, where tourists crowd to see the handprints of stars. But alongside the hustle and bustle, it is also one of the most famous haunted cinemas in America. People come here not only to watch movies, but also to hope to catch a glimpse of Valentino, Monroe, or the silver white stars, returning to find the halo that death has taken away. Grauman's Chinese Theater, the symbol of Hollywood, is where light and darkness intersect. Besides the red carpet, cameras, and applause, there are also sighs in the darkness, shadows that have not left. If you come here, standing in front of the handprint of a dead star, listen carefully. Maybe a faint clap will sound in the background. as if their souls were still there, waiting to be honored again. You walk into an old movie theater in San Francisco. Lanterns hanging high, a wide screen, red chairs covered in dust from time. The atmosphere seems normal until you realize you're sitting in a building that used to be a funeral home. Suddenly, the sound of children's giggles echoes through the empty auditorium. The chair next to you shakes, as if someone has just sat down. You turn around, but the seats are empty. It's the Vogue Theater, one of San Francisco's oldest movie theaters, and also one of the most haunted in America. The Vogue Theater opened in 1910, located on Sacramento Street in San Francisco. It started out as a small movie theater, but has since expanded and become one of the oldest operating movie theaters in the city. But what makes the Vogue so special and creepy is its history before it became a movie theater. Before 1910, this building was a funeral home, a place where people kept bodies, held vigils, and prepared for death. Thousands of bodies lay in this building before it took on a new look. A cinema, the foundation of death, is still there. Since becoming a cinema, the staff have witnessed countless strange phenomena. Children's laughter. Many times, when the auditorium was empty, the staff heard loud laughter coming from the back seat. But when they turned on the lights to check, there was no one. Black shadow. Audiences and staff reported that they often saw a tall, black shadow appear at the back of the theater. Description: a man in a long coat, standing motionless, staring at the screen. When someone approached, he disappeared. Automatic seats. Some rows of seats suddenly fell down, as if someone had just sat down. The creaking sound was clear, but there was only one person in the room. Projection room. Technicians said they often heard a knock on the door, very clearly, as if someone wanted to come in. When they opened it, the hallway was empty. One person said, "It didn't sound like an echo. It sounded exactly like someone knocking 3 times, slowly, right on the other side of the door." A cleaning staff member once said in an interview, "I was sweeping the room after a screening. Suddenly, the light on the ceiling of the theater flickered, and I saw a small figure running across the row of seats, short like a child. But when I shined my flashlight, there was no one." A member of the audience said, "When the movie started, I heard whispering close to my ear. A man's voice, deep speaking quickly. But the seat next to me was empty. I left the theater immediately. It is believed that because the building used to be a funeral home, unliberated souls still linger. Children who died young, old people, sudden death. They used to lie here, and now, when the cinema opens, they appear between screenings. Some psychics who entered the Vogue Theater described a heavy and suffocating feeling right from the main door. Some claimed they saw many shadows moving slowly around the stage. Some said the noise was just an echo from the old system. The shadows were due to light reflecting off the screen. The seats falling down were due to broken springs. But what explains the obvious childish laughter in the empty theater, or the whispers right in the audience's ears? One of the most haunting stories happened in 1980. A group of audience members left the theater after a late screening, forgetting their coats. When one of them turned back to get it, he saw the entire auditorium lit up, the seats full of people sitting, but everything was silent, motionless. He panicked and ran outside to call the staff. When he returned a few seconds later, the theater was completely empty. The lights were off. The theater is still in operation today. One of the oldest movie theaters still in existence in San Francisco. It is preserved by the movie-loving community as a cultural heritage. But along with that pride, it is also a famous ghost hunting spot. Many ghost hunting groups have come to the Vogue to record and film strange phenomena. Some have recorded EVPs, whispers of unknown origin. Some even heard what sounded like children reading numbers. The Vogue Theater, on the outside, is a small, cozy movie theater, but in the darkness, it still has the breath of an old funeral home. The souls who once lay here seem reluctant to leave. If you ever find yourself in San Francisco, try buying tickets to the Vogue, sitting alone in a quiet auditorium. When the lights go down, the screen comes on, you might hear someone chuckling behind you. A guest, not of this world. Los Angeles, the city of lights and Hollywood dreams. In the heart of the city, there is an old theater that has existed for nearly a century. It was once brilliant with silent movies, jazz music, and glamorous night shows. But when the stage lights went out, the darkness came alive. The sound of chairs falling, footsteps along the empty hallways, and whispers rang out through the speakers, like someone's voice from another world. That is the Avalon Theater, the place rumored to be the most haunted movie theater in Los Angeles. The Avalon Theater opened in 1927, the same period as the boom of cinema and theater in America. Initially, it was called the Hollywood Playhouse, then changed to the Palace Theater, and finally, Avalon. During the 1,930 seconds, 1,940 seconds, Avalon was the place to show silent movies, then talkies, and also hosted musicals and concerts. Thousands of stars have stepped onto the stage here. However, Avalon is also associated with many tragedies behind the scene. One of the most famous legends, in the 1,940 seconds, a young singer was performing at Avalon when she suddenly collapsed on stage. People said she died of a sudden heart attack, but rumors say her death was related to pressure and despair backstage. Since then, audiences and staff have repeatedly reported hearing a woman's voice in the middle of the night, even though the stage was empty. Avalon Theater is famous for a series of strange phenomena, recounted by witnesses for decades. Seats falling down. The last row of seats often makes a clack sound. The seats fall down as if someone had just sat down, but when checked, completely empty. Whispering in the speakers. During a sound test, a technician heard someone whispering through the speakers. Not a singer, not a staff member. One said it was a woman's voice, speaking quickly, repeatedly, but not clearly. It was like she was trying to convey something from another world. Shadow on the stage. Several cleaning staff described seeing a silhouette of a woman in a red dress standing in the middle of the stage under the dim lights. When they approached, only the curtain was drawn. A theater janitor recounted in the 1,970 seconds. I was on the night shift. When I walked into the auditorium, I heard applause. Slowly, 3 times. But the theater was empty. The red seats were covered in dust. I've never felt such a chill. A female employee told a local ghost show. I was standing in the dressing room. The mirror reflected behind me. A woman with curly hair, wearing a red dress, smiling. I turned around. No one. But when I looked back in the mirror, she was still there before she disappeared. Psychics who have visited Avalon claim the theater contains very strong energy. They say there are many ghosts lingering here. A young singer died on stage. A technician fell from the lighting rig while working, and many unknowns who came here during the golden age of Hollywood then died in oblivion. Some believe that with every applause, with every performance, Avalon holds the energy of the audience and the artist, and it never goes away. Some say the phenomena are just the sound echoing from the bustling streets of Los Angeles. The chairs creak due to the old spring mechanism. The technician misheard due to noise interference. But how to explain the clear image in the mirror, or the singing voice in the empty auditorium? Avalon Theater is no longer just a cinema. It is a theater, a nightclub, a concert, an event venue. Flashy, vibrant, brightly lit. But longtime employees still admit, late at night, when the auditorium is quiet, no one wants to be alone. Many ghost hunting groups have come to Avalon to record, and they have captured EVP, electronic voice phenomena, strange whispers on tape.
I'm still here.
Some of the parts sound like laughter, name-calling, even singing. Avalon Theater, cinema, stage, and club. Outside are lights, music, laughter. But in the darkness, among the empty seats, in the old backstage, there are still souls that have not left. If you ever find yourself in Avalon, sitting in the back row, when the stage lights go out, listen. You might hear a voice singing from afar, softly, whisperingly, as if she were still performing to this day.